Like the idea of banning body armor, and I live somewhere where body armor is banned.
It's funny when he says it in his Canadian accent.
You're listening to the Art and War podcast with your hosts, Mitch and Nathan. Mitch is a former airborne infantry squad leader who now spends most of his time coaching soccer. Nathan is a professional illustrator and an avid shooter with a couple of years of Canadian military experience. Together, they run the Seaburn art page. Enjoy the show.
No, it's just audio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, did you check this out though? I'm gonna show you this, and because you guys are cool into art, I wanted you to see this.
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck.
I bought Mickey Mouse and Goofy.
Oh, Goofy. I'm fucking retarded.
That's actually pretty cool.
And I bought this off of an artist in DC, an underground art thing. And I thought it was cool. And he was selling his paintings, and I was like, I'm buying that, bro.
Yeah, no, that's really fucking dope.
Yeah.
I wish it was a video aspect. But yeah, so Mitch doesn't actually know a lot about Pew Science or what you do or how you have pissed off the suppressor industry.
No, well, what I do know is that you have pissed off a lot of people that make suppressors, and I know that it's because you actually put them up to scrutiny, and a lot of people don't like being put up to scrutiny when they're like, no, we already put ourselves to scrutiny, and here's all the information about us. So that's one thing that I know about you. The other thing I know about you is that T-Rex Arms, I don't know if they sponsor you. I don't know if you're affiliate. I just know there's something with T-Rex Arms and you that you do in...
Yeah. T-Rex Arms is a corporate member of Pew Science.
Oh.
Yeah, So yeah, I'm Jay. I'm the owner and technical director of Pew Science. It's my company. I am the guy. So
you are the Pew Science.
I love what you guys do. I'm like, hi, I'm Jay. I'm guys. But yeah, no, T-Rex Arms, they're cool. Lucas in particular, I've interacted with him quite a bit. He and his whole team, they reached out to me not too long ago, actually. They told me they wanted to support the effort, and there's a mechanism by which companies in the industry can join, like consumers. And he put his money where his mouth was, and he joined with the corporate membership on the website. And yeah, he Form 3'd me his personal Knight's Armament NT4 silencer to test.
Holy crap.
Which I should be testing on the Mark 18 coming up in my next series.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's a cool dude. And I actually just found out about T-Rex Arms like in the past few months. Like I had no idea who they were.
Holy crap!
That's like I don't watch YouTube and shit like that. Oh yeah, and we can curse on this. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
I don't really watch YouTube because I don't. It just. I mean, I do if I'm like, oh wow, like that's a cool deer video, or like I'll just if I Google something, but I'm not in that Google YouTube gun culture thing. I'm not in that. So I'm not in that zone. Like I just found out about Grantham like a few months back, and he called me and he's like, hey, I'm going to talk about silencers on my thing. I'm going to mention, he's like, cool. He was really nice. So like I'm new to this whole like YouTube people, but I tell you what, the Grantham guy and the T-Rex Arm guys, they're both nice.
They're both nice. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I think that is single-handedly like the most wholesome train of words we've had on this entire podcast.
Both nice.
And I don't know how many episodes this will be when this comes out, like 20-something.
Yeah.
That was the most wholesome.
They're so nice.
They're very nice.
And they're genuine people.
Very that is one of the best parts about this podcast for us, or I don't want to speak for Nathan. For me personally, the best part about this podcast is I get to talk to these people and talk to them kind of outside of their persona, and I find out that for the most part, it's not really a persona. Like they are just genuinely doing what they love and doing what they do. And it's so that's the best
like
part.
They're normal dudes, but they like guns. So they're gun friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's all I want. All I want is gun friends. And so, you know how many people are really mean? A lot in the gun industry.
Yes,
and you know why? Because they're fucking retards. And they're assholes.
Yes, first R-bomb of the episode, and it wasn't one of us.
No, and the thing is, no, I'm serious. It's really upsetting because all these people, they don't understand what I'm doing. I'm trying to help, but they all they want to do is lie to people and sell them loud crap.
You
And
sound
it's
personally offended.
bothersome.
You
It's
sound
bothersome.
you sound very personally offended.
Yeah, I am offended, man.
You,
It
I mean,
offends me because I'm a silencer consumer.
Yeah.
I mean,
And for 10 years I watched and stood by when no one did anything about it. I lost my mind, bro.
well, but that's just it. You're not only filling a market, you're filling a need to like a checks and balance system, because nobody was out there testing suppressors, seeing if what they were saying about their product is actually true, because I don't think a lot of people really knew how. They were like, "Oh, I shoot, this 5.56 and I put this can on it and it sounds quieter. So
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
I know if this is the proper decibels? How do I know if what they're saying is legitimate? I don't, but I'm just going to trust what they say." And you should be able to, but the problem is, especially, I mean, all over in any community, in any market, there's going to be disingenuous sellers. But I feel like in the gun industry, there is a lot of disingenuous sellers, or maybe they're not trying to be disingenuous, but they're also not fully telling you all the things. And you probably piss a lot of them off because they've had something that it's worked for them for so long.
Yeah.
And now there's somebody coming along, double, triple, however many times that you go about it to verify. You're like, actually, this is what you say. This isn't what it actually fucking does. And get fucked.
Yeah.
Now their credibility is fucking destroyed, and that really fucking hurts them. But I mean, checks and balances, fuck them. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean
also like it, like accountability, and I like the idea of the consumer and consumer. Like I hesitate to use the word consumer rights organizations or any bullshit like that. The consumer holding the company accountable.
Yeah.
I love it.
yeah, that's a big mandate of mine, is that it's for the people. And when I say it's for the people, I mean it. And you kind of hit on something, Mitch. It's important to note that there are very, very good people in the silencer industry, and there are very well-meaning individuals, some of which we owe a great deal of gratitude to for their innovation that they've pioneered over decades. And in the face of a lot of obstacles and their vast contributions to the state of practice in general. However, I will say many of the people, even the well-meaning folks, do not have the technical capability to quantify the performance of their systems. In fact, I go so far as to say even the government entities evaluating the products for selection for military applications don't have the expertise required. Now, not all of them. There are certain entities that are okay, but to my knowledge, and I mean, this is all in black and white on my website on the frequently asked questions page. Like, to my knowledge, there is no entity publicly evaluating suppressed weapon systems with the fidelity and efficacy of the method I'm using. And I'm not just leading it, I'm it. And that's not going to change. It's not.
I think one of the things that you do that I think also really kind of bothers people. It would be easy for these companies to kind of disregard you if you were selling your own suppressor. If you were a
Yeah.
manufacturer yourself, they could easily disregard you as, oh, well, they're our competition, so of course they're going to say this. But you are, in a sense, the purest and most unbiased type of testing that they can get, because you don't have, I mean, maybe you do,
Yeah.
maybe you don't, but as far as I know, you don't have any of these connections to these suppressor companies, and nobody's paying you to, I mean, the people are paying you to test these things, but the suppressor companies, maybe they've reached out to you and said, hey, we'll pay you to say that this is good, or maybe it's not good.
Well, it's a very important distinction, and people do need to know that. This is also on the website. So, Pew Science is a multi-tiered operation. First and foremost, it's a grassroots funded public research cooperative for the people by the people, but it's also an independent engineering consultancy and test laboratory. Okay, I'm a licensed and practicing engineer. I'm licensed in multiple states in the United States. I do engineering domestically and overseas, and I operate Pew Science as an engineering consultancy. And so manufacturers can retain me for services for research and development. All that is done under NDA. And so, a sponsor company can pay me to conduct evaluation of their product under contract. If any results of those tests are deemed releasable to the public by the owner of the data, that would be them, then I offer to them, I say, sure, I can publish it on my website, but I'm going to put a disclaimer on it that you funded the work. Here's the contract number. And full disclosure, this work was funded in part by contract number XYZ for this entity. And, this is the same thing as like, Ford or Chevy going to a dyno lab and having their engine tested, and then you put the results on a website. It's the same thing. It's done in almost every industry with independent test laboratories. But that is the only way to guarantee data efficacy, because you can't just go to a YouTuber, you pay him 10 grand and you give them 2 silencers, and then they give the public a review, and it's like, okay, cool, they just did that, but where's the answer? Like, where's the, it's not very meaningful. So, companies, they don't really go to me for marketing much because I'm not a marketer. I mean, I'll publish the data, but I'm going to publish it. If they release their data to me, if they've paid for a test program, they get to tell me whether or not it gets published. But if it's a publicly available product, and I think consumers need to see it, I'll go test it independently from them and publish it. So it's going to get released.
Right.
If it's a public product, it's getting released, no matter what.
And that's where I feel a lot of people get really fucking poopy, because
I like how he toned it down after I dropped the R bomb.
No.
Did we say retards so fucking?
Yeah.
We are retarded.
Yeah.
This entire podcast is run by 3 retards.
Yeah,
It's
we still have our sponsorship, so I mean
somehow, despite all the
Who
fat
are you
shaming,
sponsored
despite
by?
See, normally we do the ad reads at the end, but now this is the second
Now we
time
have
somebody's
to.
asked. So our
Yeah.
sponsors are AWS Advanced Warfighting Systems. They've been around since like 1970 something.
Is it Advanced Warfighting Systems?
Advanced Warfighting Solutions.
Mitch, you ran their belt in Afghanistan. How did you fuck it up?
Listen. All right.
Solutions.
Yes.
Advanced Warfighting Solutions. They make belts. They make other things. They make
Yes,
tons
cool.
of things.
They
a lot
make
of
assault
pouches.
packs, which are pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, plate carriers and other things. But
Yeah, I run their plate carrier. It's pretty great.
yeah, and
Cool.
kind of similar to kind of like how you do it, we can get paid for sponsorships, but
Yeah.
we kind of disclose that information that we are paid, but we also don't take sponsorships unless we actually have run the product first, because
Oh, that's smart.
we don't want it to be disingenuous. There have been companies in the past that have reached out and have been like, hey, we'll pay you to talk about this product. And we're like, we've never run your product. I don't know how your product works. I
Yeah,
only hear it.
people do that to me too. I don't like that.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not going to do that, because that takes away. Because the moment you kind of taint your credibility with something like that, and somebody finds
cool.
out, like, your entire credibility is gone. And
I agree.
Yeah.
You're doing it right, man. You can't sell out. You know what's interesting? And I think I shocked people. And you know what? I've already gotten accused of bias from sponsor companies. Because if you go on my website and you go to the request for quote page, you can see a bunch of logos of different companies. Well, those are all the Pew Science corporate members. Because, to fund the effort, consumers can join and it's pretty cheap. But I make it a little more expensive for companies because, hey, there's a company, they can afford more. I figure it's a good barrier of entry. If they want to put their money where their mouth is and push the state of practice forward, well, maybe they can contribute. So, and in return, I put their name on their logo on that part of the website, right? So I figured this is just like I do in my day job for my career. It is a research cooperative. You get all competitors in one room funding research toward a common goal. In this case, advancing the state of practice of the sponsor industry in the United States and frankly the world. So all these forward-thinking companies have done that, right? Dealers, manufacturers, distributors, things like that. Well, these other manufacturers, they'll like message me like, of course that silencer was quiet because they paid. I'm like, really, bro? Really? Like, yeah, I'm going to lie. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me lie and then have like 10,000 people shoot the silencer in the public and call me a liar. That would be great for me.
Yeah.
It's like, it's self-policing.
Yeah. Integrity is so important. And there's so many people who just kind of throw it away. I mean, we were talking about it yesterday. I mean, like, hell, like, oh, yes, use code SHILLINFLUENCER10 for 10% off dodgy Chinese flashlight.
By the way, use code ArtandWar10 to save $10 on AWS SMU belt.
Nice.
Or Art and War 5 for $5 off an applied gear.
Yeah, our other
ADC belt.
sponsor.
But I actually use them and they're pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I need a plate. I don't even have a plate carrier. I kind of need one.
You need a plate carrier?
I don't have one. I gotta figure out what I need.
All of our guests get part of our deal with AWS. All of our guests get a free belt. Maybe we can change that to a plate carrier for you if you want one.
No shit.
Yeah. It's fucking dope. Like mine replaced my Slickster, which I love Slicksters. They're fantastic. And never.
It hasn't replaced the Spiritus, my Spiritus plate carrier. It replaced my JPC. It didn't replace my Spiritus. My Spiritus is still my go-to plate carrier, but they make a good plate carrier.
Yeah.
Cool. If you want a free
I
plate
don't
carrier,
really like operate much. I kill animals, so it's like, they don't really shoot a lot at me.
Yeah, but you never know.
But I do need. I was thinking I need to buy some armor.
Good you mentioned that, because here's Shill Influencer 10 for 10% off some AR 500 steel plates.
Yeah, that's not us.
That's not us. I'm joking.
Yeah. So actually, I'm kind of curious. Would you ever do similar testing with body armor?
It's funny you mentioned that. I have done professionally a lot of different types of testing. Not only, it's funny. I'm trying to tiptoe around. I'm not going to give away the farm here. I could do armor testing. I could do flash testing. I could do all kinds of testing, and it just depends how big Pew Science gets, I think.
I gotcha. Yeah. I think suppressor testing is obviously extremely important, and I'm glad that somebody is doing it. But why stop there? If you have the means to do it, there are people who quote unquote test armor, and that.
Yeah, the NIJ testing standards are actually very, very specific and very stringent.
Yeah. If you started testing armor, I think, one, you would piss off significantly more people, but you would also help, like you're helping people with suppressors. You would help a large group of people, because I feel like suppressors, while they're not niche, you have to be very committed to getting a suppressor to get a suppressor, because it takes so fucking long.
You kind of got to go all in.
Yeah. Body armor, though, any fucking retard not from Pennsylvania, I think Pennsylvania you're not allowed to. I think that's the only state.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's Pennsylvania that says you can't have body armor.
Weird.
There's one state that says no body armor allowed for civilians.
Wait, what? Who? Where?
I think it's Pennsylvania, but I could be wrong.
That's disgusting. Anywhere that like the idea of banning body armor, and I live somewhere where body armor is banned.
It's funny when he says it in his Canadian accent.
Well, I do think, though.
Oh my god, did it come out? How's a boot that?
Yeah, what do you mean come out? This shit's there permanently.
Yeah, that body armor, eh? Let's get to chorin'. Sorry, go on.
If you're listening to this right now, go bother Jay on his page and tell him to start testing body armor, and maybe he'll start doing
Jesus. Oh man, who's that guy who constantly calls out the body armor people? Like he has a meme account.
Drew Hopkins.
Yeah,
we've been talking about him.
He comes up every episode.
Yeah, every episode we bring him. He's a great guy. I talked to him.
He's really nice. Yeah. I think he actually supports Pew Science, so I think he's great. But thank you for your money. No, that's cool. I am not evil. The reason I bring him up is because I actually didn't even know that there were so many people selling armor that was crappy until I looked at the meme pages.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even realize there was that much garbage out there.
Yeah, there is a lot of garbage, and I think it's even worse than the suppressor companies, because the suppressor company, like I said, you have to really be going all out to get a suppressor.
Yeah.
But and you kind of have to I mean, you don't have to know about guns to get a suppressor, but if you're going to wait 10 fucking months or however long it is now to get that, proper.
Yeah, ridiculous amount of time.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think there's a few states where you can like make or you buy them unregulated. I might be wrong. Again, I'm like Canadian. I've never used a suppressor in my life, and I really fucking want to.
yeah,
Oh
It's
man,
it's on my bucket list.
there's
bro.
there's
Yeah.
some states that say if the parts and materials are sourced in that state and it is produced and manufactured in that state and not sold outside of that state.
Oh, that's bullshit though.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, like
bullshit.
it's one of those things where it's kind of like
It's not going to
wink,
work.
wink,
It's
don't
not.
tell anyone.
Yeah,
Like
but
it's
federal
political
law
posturing.
trumps it.
Yeah,
Federal law trumps all that stuff. It's not. It's a pipe dream. And I will say, and this is good because people listen to this and they'll tell their friends.
yeah.
Like the Hearing Protection Act and the Made in Texas silencers, just forget it. Never going to happen.
I agree. And I don't it's weird how England, right? So England obviously very
Yeah.
anti-gun, but it's considered rude if you don't shoot with a suppressor.
Yeah.
But
I
here
think,
Yeah, they have it right. They have it right.
The
for sure.
Czech Republic and I want to say like Poland or somewhere similar. They just unregulated suppressors entirely. Like
Nice.
within the last week or 3.
what the fuck are
Um,
we doing here?
Yeah.
I can tell you what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We got a revenue game and it's strong. And that tax revenue is significant. And I can tell you, the ATF, they pulled a night shift because of it.
Yeah.
That's not stopping. And all these organizations lobbying to take silencers out of the NFA, it's all lip service. You know how I know? Because if they get removed, then a lot of those organizations go out of business.
Who specifically, so we know?
No, I'm not gonna
Damn it.
make names. I'm gonna be very careful what I say.
I'll just start saying names and you blink twice if I say it. Gun Owners of
No.
America.
Oh no, they're so far removed from silencers.
The NRA.
They're not even involved. They're not. They're too big. Silencers are so niche. Silencers are so niche still. People forget the guns are popular, but the silencers are. They're still, even after all these years, most gun owners don't even understand that they're legal.
It is strange. I mean, I came from New York, and in New York, you can't own a suppressor. Get fucked. Doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
people in New
Get
York,
fucked, nerd.
people in New York, while the New York Safe Act, it does exist. It might as well not exist in upstate New York. But suppressors, I can tell you, I've never seen anybody in upstate New York, even before the Safe Act was a thing, with the suppressor.
Wait, are we sure that there's a dude, this Pew Science member of mine, he's a cool dude. I thought he lived in New York and I thought he had silencers. Maybe he's a cop.
It might have got grandfathered in, but I know in New York you're not allowed to have one. It might have been grandfathered in, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, only very recently, February 16th, legislation was introduced to allow suppressors in New York.
Interesting.
Did it go through? I'd be very surprised.
Let me look.
They barely would allow mixed martial arts to happen there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back when
With the
MMA
commission-
and
with the
UFC
athletic
was gonna be a
commissions.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're what a horrible place.
I hate New York. I know so many
I've
lovely
been
people
there
from New York.
before, but I
I hate
would-
New York.
I've never lived there. It's horrible. It's a horrible
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, I don't
Can't
think
even
it's
do
been
anything.
voted on yet. It's just been introduced, but yeah,
I'd be
no.
very surprised if that goes through.
Yeah, the 8 states that currently do not allow suppressors are Illinois, massive two shits, New York, New Jersey, and Rhode Island.
Man, I have family in Boston, and I was just up there.
Boston.
And what an interesting place that is.
Oh man, I'm not a fan.
It's
With
interesting
Boston.
and it's cold and horrible. Like in the winter, I went there one time for Thanksgiving. Oh my God. It was so cold. I was like, people live in this? And then like it was this day where it had stopped snowing, right? And this little sun came out, and I looked outside the window, and I saw this lady outside, and she had her arms out straight, and she was like turning slowly, like like a top, like looking up. And I asked my family, I said, what's going on? What's that lady doing there? She's like, oh, she's just absorbing the vitamin D because they never see the sun. And she just like mesmerized by it. And they have these special lights to like help them in the winter and like
God,
everything
that's
is like,
awful. Everything to do with that is awful. I
could you
can't even say
imagine?
anything. I don't even live that far away from Boston.
Look, living
like our
living
sister.
in cold areas isn't that bad.
I don't know, bro.
It's not that bad. Where are you?
Maybe
at? Can you say?
I'm in Texas.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he has like a homestead fucking near the border.
Yeah, I'm in South Texas, dude.
You're laughing.
I'm really far down here. It's
Yeah.
like 70s, 80s, today right now. Yeah. So
Jeez, it was 20 degrees here where I'm at.
Yeah,
I like the
for
cold.
all the
though.
Yanks, they're not going to know what this
Wait,
is.
where
but
are you?
-3
Where are you,
right now.
Mitch?
I'm in Colorado.
Oh, that's right, Mountain Time.
Yep. It's cold here, but it's not as cold. So there's a different type of cold. There's like East Coast cold, where it's very humid already, so it feels even colder than it already is. And then there's Colorado cold, which is just extremely dry. And the dry cold is fine until the wind starts blowing. When the wind starts blowing, then you're getting fucking chapped lips, your face is chafing, it's fucking miserable. But yeah,
Did
cold
Nathan
weather
just put on his night vision?
as Nathan does.
Just to ignore me.
So there is a chance though that you might test body armor, is what you're saying, if you get big enough.
Yeah, frankly, I will say, I mean, this is public record. I mean, I run one of the largest boss testing laboratories in the world, like for my day job, and
That actually makes a lot of sense. We were going to go like probably and we'll get into it, the standard questions, like how the fuck did you get into
I don't know
guns?
this.
What do you actually like? Yeah,
I'm a structural dynamicist by education,
makes sense.
and I test things much bigger than small arms.
Yeah.
Hitting targets much larger and more resilient than body armor. I mean, to test body armor would not be testing silencers. To me, it's cool because I like guns, but it's very trivial.
Yeah,
in the big scope of things.
To you, it's very trivial.
Yeah.
I'm
that's what I'm saying.
Idiot. Yeah.
Well, you're not stupid. You just don't know. You just don't know something, and that's the difference. I think, and that's one. Okay, I want to say this because before I forget, it's very important for people to understand. And I tell everyone this: there are no stupid questions, and everyone can learn this stuff. And the reason why we have not done it until now is because there's a prevailing opinion in the industry that consumers are too stupid to understand. And it's not true. The reality is no one doing it cared enough to teach them. And I'm sick of people thinking they're fucking stupid. And I'm sick of these companies calling consumers stupid behind their backs. And they all do it. I hear it. And it's infuriating. And I don't like it. And I'm to the point where I have zero tolerance for these companies. And I hope they're listening, because this is my fucking show now. Like, as far as the silencer game goes, like they can't control me, and I will do whatever I want.
You're absolutely correct.
I'm serious. Like, and they can suck it at this point. Like, I'm so tired of it.
This is the most wholesome suck it to the industry that I've ever heard.
But it's serious. It's like they really thought they could keep lying to people, and they thought they could just call people stupid, and it wasn't going to come back to bite them.
This is true, though, not just in the suppressor or body armor. This is true throughout the industry. And like you said, you've heard it and you've seen it. In my short time working, within the industry that I have, I've noticed it as well, where I will talk to some people that work for certain companies, and they will just flat out say, yeah, we don't, that information, the fucking donkeys is one that I've heard recently, but they have a number of words. I thought donkeys was kind of funny. They don't need to know about that. And I'm like, well, I feel like they kind of would like to. And there's a lot of, there's a lot more behind the scenes and personas that are just that. They're personas, and then you go behind the scenes and they're just fucking jackasses. And like we were talking about in the beginning, one of the best parts about this podcast, we get to have people on who have a persona, and so far every time they seem to be very genuine. We talk very long before and after podcasts for the most part.
Yeah.
And they're very genuine. And there is, unfortunately, like you said, a lot of people, there's a lot of good people, a lot of bad people, but they do think that the consumer is stupid. And when it comes to something like suppressors, or when it comes to something like body armor, there aren't people that have the means or the knowledge to properly test it the way that you're going about it. And that's why I think it's so great that somebody who has the means, who has the knowledge, is going about it now being like, wait a minute, actually, go fuck yourself. This is all wrong. And this is what I found doing it myself as a consumer, not as competition, not as somebody that just disliked your company. As a consumer, this is what I have found and what I have tested with your products, and this is what you say. And it's just not true. And I think while you are doing it, there aren't a lot of people that have the means and knowledge to do it to the extent that you are. And I think that's kind of why you stand out, and that's why people go to you for these things.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I will say that my area of expertise in the world is rare to begin with, because what I do professionally isn't done much at all. And to even analyze fast transients like I do with regard to silencers, it takes decades to understand how to do it correctly. And it's one thing to test something and measure it, but to understand what the data is showing you, there's a science and an art, because there's so much that goes into it. There's so much work to do correctly. It is so much effort. If people, and I've talked about this on my podcast, if people could see the data on the cutting room floor, if people could see the days of effort completely gone and wasted because I made a mistake, the hundreds of rounds of ammunition gone, the late nights of like packing up in the dark because I wasted a day of testing because something was off and like something happened, and I can't go into specifics, but I mean, the thousands of dollars just like flushed down the toilet in development and errors, and like I've made more mistakes being an experimentalist for 16 years than people even understand at all with regard to experimentation and fast transients. And it's not even, so it's not only in my mind, it's not only the importance of having the integrity to tell the truth, but it's the technical expertise to present the data properly, understanding what the end deliverable means to the consumer, and also understanding that the technology I've developed and the suppression rating I've created is a true characterization of loudness to the inner ear for the human being. So it's not like, oh, that number's higher, but that doesn't mean anything. No, if the number's higher, it sounds better. If the number's lower, it sounds louder. That's it. If your ear is anywhere close to the 95th percentile human ear, the suppression rating's right.
Mm-hmm.
Not for you, but for everybody. And these freaking companies, you'll see it, bro. You go on these forums, I'll post something to share with people, and these companies will jump on trying to like, criticize it and everything, and they get buried now. Good, because everyone sees it. They're retarded. And so it's I'm at the point where I'm like, you don't understand who you're dealing with now. Like I'm going to great lengths to do this, and it's only getting better. I'm only getting better at it. I mean, it's not stopping.
You sound like a man on a very passionate mission, and I fucking love to see it, because companies do need to be held accountable, and especially ones when it comes to equipment that can be deemed as life-saving. A suppressor could be a feature to a weapon that is life saving. And health, your hearing. That's something that you can't get back. As far as I know, we have ways to fix vision. We have eye surgery. As far as I know, there still hasn't really been a way when your hearing is damaged to go in and actually fix it. They can give you hearing aids, they can give you all this other shit, but it's not something, as far as I know. Maybe that's changed since I've last looked into that. But
I think you're right, dude. I mean, there might be like bone conduction
yeah.
stuff. I don't know for sure, but I know that something that people forget about, and this is an area of research that I've dived into, but the models aren't as mature. You can actually model hearing damage potential while wearing hearing protection devices. So, for example, like let's say you're shooting a 338 Lapua Magnum out of a short barrel, very loud.
Yes.
Let's say you are shooting this very loud cartridge, or maybe 300 Norma mag, something out of a short barrel with an obnoxious case capacity. Let's pretend you're shooting this large Magnum round out of a short barrel rifle. When I say short barrel, I say something like 16 to 20 inches for a Magnum round like that, which is a very short barrel for that. Let's say or maybe even 50 BMG. Let's say whatever. You put your hearing protection on, whether it be plugs or muffs. Your inner ear is still going to be subjected to a net overpressure. Now, it's going to be significantly less than it would have been if you had unprotected ears, and that would be what's called as free field blast pressure wrapping around your head, and then you can think of sound pressure as blast pressure, because that's what it is. What it does is you fire a weapon, the pressure wave expands spherically in 3D space. It's like a bubble, and it encases everything around it. You can think of it as like an acoustic wave. If you sat in front of a wall, and like Mitch was on one side of the wall and Nathan was on the other side of the wall, and Mitch went up to the wall and he yelled as loud as he could, well, Nathan would still hear him on the other side of the wall, right? Well, that's because there's wraparound. So a blast load does the same thing. So every time you shoot, whether it be suppressed or unsuppressed, there is a blast wave wrapping around your head, dude. It is physics. You can't beat it, can't get away from it. Now, if you put a hearing protection on, it's going to lessen that. But let's say you're shooting a 338 Norma mag over and over again, or a 50 BMG over and over again with earplugs in. Do you think there's cumulative hearing damage still happening? Absolutely there is. Absolutely. So if you put a silencer on that and you wear hearing protection, is that going to help? Absolutely it will. So silencers aren't just for people with no ears on. Silencers are for everybody.
Yeah.
And when people misrepresent, and I tell you what, and I can't go into some of it because it's under NDA, some of the private contract, because you think that every silencer company that tests with me, you think the data's public? Hell no. I have so much data that's never going to see the light of day because it's under NDA. I've tested weapons for the military for contract solicitations. I've tested stuff on the Barrett MRAD, for example.
Holy shit.
That was so loud, suppressed, that I couldn't believe it. You're never going to see it, and I can't tell you what it was, but it was a suppressed system it was made by a client of mine to interface with the Barrett MRAD, and I shot it, and I was like, oh, I mean, if I had ears on, okay, cool, it's better than an unsuppressed MRAD. But I was thinking to myself, like, even with that on there, and this isn't really dogging that company necessarily, but it's just going to show you that, like, a silencer or suppressor, I call it a silencer because that's what it's called, but because a silencer suppresses sound and flash. Okay. So suppressing, I found, is the mechanism of a silencer, but it doesn't matter. But I think that I'm not trying to dog that company, but I do want to say it highlights the importance of multiple methods of hearing protection. Like when I shoot my ARs, dude, it's always with a silencer and I'm wearing ears.
Well, always. I think part of that misconception that a silencer makes your weapon like completely fucking silent is partially Hollywood, partially because people don't have weapons experience and they see That's something true. And they'll be like, oh, well, I can go shoot this fucking AR and look at John Rambo in those movies. He's fine. But the reality is, even with the suppressor, or I'm gonna start calling it a silencer. I call it a suppressor. I don't know why. There was
You
years
can't. I mean,
ago.
it's the same. It's just I was
It's
just
same
explaining
but
why I
different.
did.
I
Yeah.
think years ago I saw an argument that somebody was like, "It's not a silencer. It doesn't silence the weapon. It suppresses the noise." And I don't know. That stuck with me because I've never owned a silencer either. Just because I don't feel like doing paperwork and allowing the ATF to come search my fucking place whenever they want and inspect weapons. Um, but
They can't search your place.
well, they can demand to see the firearms whenever the fuck they want, and you have
No.
with silencers. If you have any
Not
type of
if you're not
NFA
a
item,
licensed manufacturer or dealer. They can't come into a private citizen's house without a warrant.
not coming into, they can come to it. They can knock on your door and they'll be like, "We need to see this item," and if you can't present that item, then get fucked.
I don't know in what case they would do that, but I'm not a lawyer, so
Yeah,
that's
I
a good
mean,
question. That's interesting. Huh.
yeah, maybe I'm fucking retarded. Nobody take what I'm saying for
Well,
actual fact. But,
disclaimer: not legal advice.
yeah, disclaimer there. But I've never had one myself. I have shot silenced weapons, and what ends up happening is you go into it, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm like, fuck, do I need ear pro for? I have a silencer. I'm fucking good. And I
It just
shot
depends,
once.
yeah.
I shot once, and I'm like, negative. Where the fuck's my ear pro? I'm not trying to be deaf when I'm fucking 80. I'm already kind of
Yeah.
fucked in my hearing, but
Yeah.
it,
I have
It's a
quite
spectrum, dude. It's a
yeah.
spectrum.
I have
It's dose
firearms
dependent.
related
Yeah.
hearing loss, and it sucks. It really sucks, and it's only going to get worse. Like a 20% loss in my left ear. I don't remember how much in my right, but it's not great.
Do you
Yeah,
know where
wear ear
you?
protection.
How did it happen?
How did it happen? Shitty ear protection and lapse safety standards in the Canadian Armed Forces.
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, it's common. It's common. It's interesting. I have a lot of Pew Science members. They're former military or current military and law enforcement, and some of them have sent me their audiograms of their hearing tests. And because one of the things we do is, and this is something that is not public. It's on the website, but it's only for our member guys. We look at the spectrum of hearing response in the different frequencies, so we can determine how certain suppressed weapon systems might sound if you have hearing damage in certain frequencies, to help people really understand what they might be hearing before or after they purchase a product. Because there's a lot of BS, and a lot of people, oh, this has a great tone. What a great tone this product has. You should buy this great sounding tone silencer. It's so deep and pretty and great, and we can actually determine it objectively if it's deep and pretty and great. And this guy sent me his audiogram. He was in the U.S. Armed Forces, and his hearing is messed up, man. And
well,
it's common.
it's very common.
That's really sad.
It is
Yeah.
very, very, very
Yeah.
common. I mean, I can recall stories from when I was even going through basic training. I remember nowadays, I've talked to my drill sergeant friends, and they tell me that like hearing, like people inspect that shit like it's a sensitive item, as they probably should. But I remember when I was going through, I was getting up to we didn't qual with the 50. I'm trying to remember what we did with the 50, but it might have just been an introduction or the first time just here, fire a 50 so you know what the fuck happens when you fire a 50. And I remember going up there and thinking, man, I forgot my ear pro. I don't want to bring this up because if I bring this up, I'm going to get fucked up.
Oh,
So, and nobody checks you. Well,
That
now they do, but at the
sucks.
time, so I just went up and I just fired the 50. And after that first round, I might as well have not even heard any other round after that. It was just, oh, I can't hear anything. Well, I have to keep shooting. I think I shot enough. Okay, I'm done. And trying to read lips for like 2 days.
Oh man, yeah, that's permanent damage. You were subjected to enough overpressure. You have permanent hearing damage from that event.
Oh,
I'm telling you
I
that
mean,
right now. I'm not even a doctor.
oh, I can tell you that because I just did my hearing evaluation to get medically retired, and they're like, "Oh yeah, so something happened," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of my fault, but it is what it is. It's not
Was it though?
terrible.
Was it your fault though?
Well,
I mean, it was kind of, yeah.
it was my
I
fault
think there's
for
some
being
shared blame
stupid.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're young, you think you're invulnerable. I was the same thing. It's like, oh, I don't need no fucking hearing protection.
Yeah,
It's
fuck
fine.
that shit.
And then,
That's
I
not cool.
regret that immensely. But when you're young, you think you're,
Well,
GI
Yeah,
Joe.
so we do our best, man. The models we use, they're not perfect, but here's the thing: the government doesn't let you test on humans much anymore. It's
No.
really hard.
It's
But we
really hard
did.
because you can't test on people.
But we did. We did many years ago, and we did some correlations, and that's very well studied. Along with cat ears. Cat ears are very similar in a way. And so there's a lot of correlations that were done. And so right now, what I'm doing is the best we have. It's the best we're going to get without testing on people again. And I would like to do it, but it'd be a whole thing. And I was reading into it, and I think I have to get people to sign stuff. And I'm not a doc. I don't know. I was thinking about it, oh man, I could totally get some of these meme page guys, take them out to Texas, be like, all right, sign this form. Okay. Now here's a red light and a green light. Now what I want you to do when it sounds better, I want you to hit the green light. When it sounds worse, I want you to hit the red one. I had a whole experimental setup thought about, and I was like, probably shouldn't do it, but it could happen.
So were you always kind of into I don't want to mischaracterize it. Would it be considered a science?
I was a kid. I like to
Science
take
or
things
engineering?
apart. Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to I remember, play with GI Joes and stuff. And remember, you could take the GI Joe apart. You take the little screw out of the back, and you could take his legs off. It had a little rubber band in there that held his pelvis and his legs. I don't know if you guys play with GI Joes. I might be
I had
older than you.
GI Joes. I didn't take them apart. I was probably just throwing them around and eating sand.
Oh well, that's fine. No, but yeah. So I would do that. That's one of the first things I remember really dismantling and understanding how it worked. It was a very simple part, and then I was like, well, that's cool. And so I would get different screwdrivers and now I can take apart the radio, or now I can take apart the lawnmower.
How old were you when you started doing this?
I don't know, like a kid, single digit age. I don't recall, kindergarten or less, or maybe first grade.
And your family trusted you to just go out and take apart the fucking lawnmower?
Oh no, they didn't.
you just did it.
I got in big trouble.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, I got big trouble for that. Stuff like that. Just in general. So I always had an interest in how things worked, and American education is sort of in public school is really kind of crappy.
Yeah.
And so when I finished high school, and I really liked physics and stuff and math and all the different classes. And I went to my dad. I said, hey, Dad, what do you think I should do in college? Because I want to go to college, And he's like, well, you like engineering? You like math? You like science? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, you should be an engineer. And I was like, well, what type of engineer should I be? He's like, well, you're always on the computer. Why don't you be like an electrical engineer? And I was like, okay. So I enrolled in electrical engineering college there, and I did that for a couple of years, and it wasn't really mechanics related, and I liked electronics too, and I didn't know really the scope of what I got into, and so if I found it a little bit boring, but at the same time it was a shock to me because college was harder because you had to study. And because I didn't have to study in high school, because high school is very easy in the United States. And so I drank beer and, had fun. And then I decided, okay, well, maybe I should pay attention. So then I went and I was walking through a building, and I saw a lecture of a professor doing mechanics on the chalkboard there. and I sat in the back of the room and finished the lecture. And then I went to the advisor's office and I changed my major to civil engineering, structural engineering. And I don't like buildings particularly. They're not interesting to me. But what I did like was the professor and the way he taught, and I liked the mechanics. And so I started my undergraduate research at that time in structural dynamics and transients.
And
And
this
then
all
I pursued a graduate degree in a master of engineering in that.
and that all stemmed just from being interested in physics and math and tinkering. You were taking apart
Yeah.
lawnmowers, fucking radios, GI Joes, something that me as a kid, when I think of when I was driving the lawnmower, I might have been like 8, 9 years old, and I never thought, let me take this apart. It was, wow, I really enjoy sitting on here, riding around, driving in circles. Like there's
Well, it's
different.
fun.
Yeah, it's fun. But so you got into it just from tinkering. You went to college, did all this, super smart people stuff, and then from there,
Super smart people stuff.
when did the guns and the suppressors start to come, or silencers? I'm gonna fucking educate myself.
Well,
Silencers.
after graduate school, I worked for the U.S. government,
Okay.
and I worked in the intelligence community.
You've mentioned that just kind of in passing.
Yeah,
I'm curious,
yeah.
but I don't want
And just obviously, I'm not going to say anything I couldn't say. It's I'm not. Which is what I can tell you. One of the principal things that I worked with was target defeat and weapons effects, um, large caliber munitions,
Okay.
and their effect on um, enemy vulnerability. So through that career, I was already kind of into engineering and my degrees and science and stuff, and being exposed to certain things and doing certain things led me to have a pretty high interest in different hobbies. And silencers were something that I had worked with, but also, as a kid growing up in the 80s, watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who doesn't want a silencer? You know what I mean? Like,
Cool.
I mean, they're cool. I was a gun guy. I like guns. And who doesn't like guns? And then,
Yeah.
well, retards
only
don't like
shitty
guns.
people don't like guns.
Exactly. And so I thought to myself, and then I figured out I could have them, like as a civilian, and like just you could buy. I was like, whoa, we can just buy these, sweet. So I got super into those, and then when I left that world and came and went into the private sector, all that was stayed with me. And I can't, and one day I mean, my life got busy, as everyone's life goes in different directions. You never know what you're going to do in your life. But a few years back, I got back into guns because I was like, you know what? I need to get back into guns. And when I got back into guns, I was like, man, the silencer industry sucks right now. And here we are.
So you worked in intelligence. I'm not going to ask you too much about that, just because I feel
I mean, I can only tell you what I can tell
yeah,
you.
I feel like I would want to ask you things you can't tell me anyway, and we don't want.
It's no big deal. I'll just say I can't tell you. It's nothing. It's not too sexy. I mean, it is and it isn't. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like you were one of those foreign assets going around in aviators and suits and white Suburbans doing all types of secret squirrel stuff. I mean, maybe you were. Don't answer that question, but it sounds like you really had kind of always a passion for tinkering, taking things apart, learning how things work, learning why they operate, and then you go and you start doing some stuff. You're working for some high level motherfuckers. I mean, if you're in intelligence doing, engineer shit, those aren't the fucking retards on the ground like me who don't work for intelligent companies that just kind of go based off of shitty intelligence companies. Sounds like you're doing like the real deal, high level shit. And then you get out of that private sector, getting back into firearms just because firearms are fucking cool. Why not? And you see this absolute cesspool that is the gun and suppressor or silencer industry. From there, when do you decide, man, I'm fed up with this shit. I'm fed up with the dog shit from the companies. I'm fed up with these, shills that are talking about shit that have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, and realize I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I know how to go about this. I'm going to do this. When did that start for you?
There was a day my she's my fiance now, my girlfriend at the time, she and I were dog sitting in this lady's house. I know it was weird, right? And we're just hanging out. It's a cool dog. We're like on the couch or something, drinking some wine, and we were talking about life in general and firearms. In that, it's just one of my hobbies, and I just can't stop thinking about guns, dude. I don't know what it is. I just love them, and I'm always thinking about them. It doesn't matter what it is. And I told her, I said, hey, what if there was a way that we could accurately characterize the sound signature of silencers and do it in a way that's so objective and so pure and so honest? It can never be wrong. It can never be tainted. It can never be taken away from the people. It could never be corrupted. It would be pure. It would be impenetrable. It would be an encrypted algorithm. No one could steal it. No one could doctor it. What if we could do that for people? And, we had some wine in us. So she's like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, I know. And so I started doodling on whatever was on the coffee table. I know we kept it. We kept what I think it was either an envelope or a napkin or something, but we kept it because I started talking crazy, and she hit a record button on her phone, and she started recording me, and I didn't know it, and I was drawing it, and I drew the early concept for PewSoft, the system that I built to do this, and then I also drew some things for the Silencer Sound Standard that I wrote, and I drew these, and the next day or week I started it, and then I got hit by this lady on her phone. She was driving. I was on the freeway, and this lady, I was stopped in traffic. This lady was going 70 miles an hour in her car, and she was on her phone, and she hit me. She hit my truck from the behind, and put me in, give me a concussion, all that good stuff. Totaled my beautiful truck. And then I had to stay home from work because I was told I can't look at a computer screen because of the concussion. So I coded PewSoft.
Are you sure it wasn't the former intelligence people you were working for? Seeing what you were doing, they're like, "Fuck no, we can't have this guy."
I mean, the lady was from Florida, so maybe.
Oh.
No, but yeah, and that's how I did it, dude. It was just one of those things where the time was right, and I got tired of it, and I thought it was like something I thought I could do. Sometimes you talk about with your friends, like, "Oh, we should do this," and like you don't ever do it. But in this time, I was like, "No, I should do this." And my girl, man, she's so cool. She supported me through everything, and every time I think it's gonna suck or I'm not doing a job or whatever, she's always like, "No, you're on the right track," and she supports me, and she always has. So I owe her a lot for that.
Does she do something similar to what you do?
She has worked in the outdoor space, but I don't want to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Give any more details than that.
That's fine. So getting wine drunk, having good ideas. That's similar to how this podcast kind of started. We were always kind of like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And then if we were going to do it, we were going to do it the right way that we wanted to. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I mean, I'm not going to even put it in the same category as what you're doing. You're doing something that is education requires a lot of time and effort, and this is something where we're just like, hey, come on a podcast and let's bullshit for a couple hours. But
Nah, it's fun. It's creative, man. It's creating something. I think it's important.
yeah, the base concept is similar, where we always talk about doing it, but you know what, let's actually fucking do it. But let's not half-ass it. Let's go balls to the wall, full throttle. We're gonna actually fucking do this. We're gonna do this the right way. We're gonna get the right equipment. We're gonna make that good initial investment, and if it doesn't make money, who cares? We're playing the long game. If
Yeah.
we go
Yeah, it
into
was
the
Yeah,
never
whole
about
man.
the money. It was, but yeah, and I will be the first to kind of eat humble pie here and be like, because I didn't fight Mitch a little with it, but I disagreed. I'm like, hey, yeah, we can use our cell phone microphones. We can just,
No, I wasn't
you know,
having that shit.
yeah, no,
That's how I started mine, dude. I started
yeah,
mine like that. I had a little Amazon mic, and I would just give it to the dude across from me, and I have the thing, and
Yeah, I remember if I wanted to do this, because I felt like starting a podcast, well, everybody and their mothers, kind of starts a podcast.
yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of fucking podcasts.
there's a lot of podcasts, and
Yeah.
there's some that are really good, like yours. Yours is a good podcast. It's educational. You got a lot of.
you've listened to my podcast.
I
Yeah.
have listened very briefly. I
Cool.
I tried to do my research beforehand. The problem is
Thanks for listening.
here's the problem that I have with podcasts, and I say this as somebody who has a fucking podcast. There's so many that I enjoy listening to already that picking up new ones I'm always reluctant to do. And
Oh, you have podcast overload, dude.
I know I do, but I listen to that instead of music in my car. And I only drive so much now where it's like I'm
Ah.
so behind on so many people's podcasts that if somebody's like, even if it's somebody that I absolutely fucking adore, like somebody that I'm a big fan of, that I thoroughly enjoy, like for example, an athlete. If there's an athlete that, 'cause I'm a big sports guy, if there's an athlete that I
Oh,
really
cool.
enjoy that starts a podcast, I don't have time for it. And I'm like, I can't even fucking, because there's so many others that I'm already listening to. And I feel like there's a lot of people that do that. Maybe I'm the only one, but
Nah, dude, you're probably not in the minority. I mean, there are only so many hours in the day. I mean,
yeah,
you know. So.
well, and that's one of the things we're going into just fucking us now, but that's all right. Self masturbation is good sometimes. One of the
No,
things,
self-destruction.
no, just masturbation. When we saw the type of success that we were having with this podcast off the rip, I try to tell people all the time, like, I don't know what we did to capture your attention, but I understand, because I'm a consumer of podcasts myself. I understand there's only so much you can listen to, so I appreciate that we are one of the people that you listen to.
Yeah. I'm also picky about our podcast and kind of to be a little masturbatory. I did not want to listen to ours. I didn't. I don't like it. It's the same as like looking at photos of yourself. But I can kind of see why people listen to us, because it's like watching a car accident.
No.
Like it's like a train
No.
crash in slow
We're-
motion.
The
No,
way that,
probably they like podcasts are an interesting phenomena because I think that it gives people a window into being in a room with some people shooting the shit, and it's almost like a tribal inclusion. And I say this a lot in our retard group chat.
We have a wonderful retard group chat.
It's
I
the
really like it.
best. Mitch, you need to get in there. It is the human race. We have not evolved enough to catch up with the communication media that we have. So, like for example, like humans, like we're good at like running for a while to make animals tired and throwing stuff to kill them. Like and we're still good at that. We just don't do it. But what we're not good at is being on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're
that
not
is-
good at that. So what happens when like you hear two dudes talking, like one dude's from Canada, the other you're military guys, you're talking about night vision or what, and someone has a chance to sit in the room with you and listen to you talk, they're going to love that. Because they're never going to be, I mean, that's just like, oh, you're walking down the prairie and you're like, whoa, those two dudes are hunting buffalo. And I wish I could hunt buffalo. And now I get to talk to them. They don't have to talk. They don't have to talk to be part of your friend group, bro. They just listen to you talk. That's a podcast. That's why everyone listens to Joe Rogan. That's why everyone, you know what I mean? That's why everyone listens to Howard Stern.
That makes sense, actually. That makes a lot of
sense.
sense.
That's just a human dynamic, dude. And so that's why I do my podcast, because I love podcasts. So when I was going to do this, I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to talk into a microphone for hours.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to do a podcast. I was like, I will do this so people can listen to me and learn shit like I listen to other people and learn shit.
And one of the good things, I think, about kind of both of ours is that it's not, when I say there's a lot of podcasts out there, there's a lot of really shitty podcasts out there.
Probably.
Yeah. And when you find good ones, or ones that you enjoy, I don't want to say good is kind of subjective. When you find ones that you enjoy, what I enjoy, I can kind of tell when people are kind of faking a conversation for the sake of faking a conversation. And it grinds my fucking gears, because I picture myself, like you said, in that conversation, in that room. And I'm like, I wouldn't fucking talk to somebody like that. I wouldn't, like, and you can tell that some things are kind of scripted sometimes. And I'm like, I don't want that shit. And when we were starting ours, I'm gonna ask you about yours. When we started ours, there's a couple episodes that have never and will never see the light of day, because we're trying too hard to do something that we didn't enjoy. And it was like, we went into it, we're like, okay, we're going to talk about these topics. We're going to talk about these things.
When it was really scripted.
Yeah, and we didn't know what the fuck we were talking about, but we were trying to sound like we knew what the fuck we were talking about, and it was very obvious we had no idea.
Yeah, I was super pretentious.
Yeah, so I think finding our legs with that. Did you have similar problems when you started yours, or did you just go into it and you were just like, this is what I'm going to fucking do, and this is what I'm going to stick with doing?
Well, that's a really good question, because my effort actually evolved a little bit. When I had first started it, my very first episode, I thought, gosh, the formula for a podcast is you have to have guests, you have to interview people. So my first one, I was at a shooting range, and one of the owners, they're two brothers that own it, but one of the owners of YHM, Yankee Hill Machine, they make silencers and guns, and they're one of the longest running manufacturers of AR parts, probably in the United States. They're in Massachusetts. They were there, and I interviewed Chris Graham. That was my first episode. And it was not scripted, but I had prepared interview questions for him, because I felt it was an honor to be able to speak with him. So I thought to myself, well, gosh, how would an interviewer prepare? And I was like, well, I've interviewed people to hire them for jobs, so I'll just ask this guy about things I'm interested in, and it'll be good. And it was good. And then the next one, it was someone else, and I did a couple of manufacturers, right? So that was my first formula. I had the microphones that I bought from Amazon, and it was at a shooting range. You could hear gunshots. I was thinking it'll be a cool silencer podcast if I always wanted to do it. So I did that. But then I discovered that the logistics of doing a podcast and having guests were significant. And I had a lot of I had a lot of things that I wanted to speak about to people or with people, and I couldn't necessarily find people that really I wanted to speak with. I frankly, like, I had a message I wanted to give people, and I wanted to update people on the research I was doing, and I didn't have anybody to do that with. So I thought about one of my favorite comedians. His name is Bill Burr.
Fucking love Bill Burr.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's in that Joe Rogan ecosystem. Yeah.
Yep.
And I thought of, and I'm a big podcast fan. I've been listening to Rogan before he was, gosh, it was actually, he wasn't even has a podcast yet. Maybe he would come on the Opie and Anthony show. I would listen to him. And that was one of my big inspirations for me starting a podcast. And I listened to Bill Burr. He does his Monday morning podcast by himself. I thought to myself, I can do that. If Bill Burr can do that, I can do that. And so I did. And what I would do is I prepare the talking points that I would like to speak about with my audience. and then every Tuesday night I record that, and every Wednesday morning I publish it.
Do
And
you
I love it.
record and edit all on your own?
I don't edit anything. I record it in one shot and I publish it.
Ooh.
It's one take. I don't edit.
The problem that we would run into with that is that the way that we go about things, like for example, when we had Isaac on, Isaac Bakken, there was so much shit that I wanted to ask him and talk to him about that he was willing to talk about with us, that he's not willing to talk about with everyone that listens to us.
Oh yeah. So much of that
Well, it's
episode.
like I told you at the beginning. I'm not going to tell you anything I wouldn't tell everybody.
Right. And that is one of the reason. Well, honestly, this podcast is, like I said, it's an excuse for me. I'm not going to speak for Nate. It's an excuse for
No,
me
also me.
to
Also me.
talk to people and kind
I
of get
love
that,
you.
like, get that like foot in the door of being like, hey, you want to know what I want to know about? I want to know what Grand Thumb Mike Jones is like when he's not being Grand Thumb. I want to know what he's about.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that was kind of my where I personally found my legs with this podcast, because we had started out, like we said, we started doing something. And I remember our first episode we recorded, Nathan, maybe you remember too. We recorded it. I listened to like 15 minutes of it. I'm like, we can't fucking release this.
Yeah.
Like,
Is that the one we ended up
you
releasing?
cringing yourself.
yeah. And I feel like everybody kind of, does when they do start a podcast, or if they listen to themselves like talk, they're like, oh God, this is fucking terrible. But there's a point now, and maybe this is like an ego thing for me, I don't know. But when I listen to a podcast that we recorded, I listen to all of our podcasts, I genuinely enjoy it myself because I'm making the podcast for me already. Like,
Yeah.
this is the type of
We
shit
record
I would
what
want
we
to listen
enjoy.
to. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how you know you're doing the right thing, dude.
Well, I
That's
appreciate
how you know. That's how you know, man. Because here's the thing, and are you an artist like Nathan too, Mitch?
Not at all. No.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Well, I didn't know because Nathan did really great art for me. I don't know if you remember you guys posted the thing he drew me in.
Yeah, that's how
I'm trying to
discovered
get
who you were.
T-shirts made, dude. I might need vector graphics. I thought you
Yeah,
sent me
I
vector, but I
can
don't even
vector it
understand.
for you if you need.
I thought you did, but it was a JPEG, and I don't understand. But I'm not.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. Don't
I'm
worry
not a
about it.
graphics guy. But what I was trying to say is the art of well, Mitch, do you play any instruments?
No.
Do you? So okay, I'm just trying to feel like, are you like an artistic person? And I think you are because you do a podcast.
I am a sports person. I like guns, and I have an appreciation for people that make art. For example, the painting you
His
see
wife is a
behind me.
commissioned artist.
Yeah, my wife made that. She does.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she
that,
does.
That phrase comes up like
It
half.
hasn't come up in a fucking while, but my wife does commissioned art. She was an art instructor at one point for would you call it a company, a business?
I think there's a fine line between someone who appreciates art and someone who creates it.
Yeah, I'm an appreciator. I don't create.
And I think that it's not that different when you really think about it. And I think that it's important to appreciate your art, and I think you do that when you listen to your own podcast.
I appreciate conversation, and if conversation can be considered an art, I don't necessarily know, but I do appreciate conversations that I have with people. Even though I've already had it, I go back and I listen because I brain dump everything after a fucking podcast. Because I'm in the moment. I'm having a conversation. Like even with you, I'm not going to remember this shit until I listen to it again, and that's when I'll fully absorb it. But just talking with you, like I am genuinely just interested in you as a person, and then I can have this conversation with you, brain dump the fuck out of it, and then listen to it and be like, oh yeah, like this is something that I'm really interested. I'm really interested in getting to know Jay, and I guess in
That's
the sense
cool.
you can consider that an art, I guess. I don't know if I necessarily would, but I know that, for example, the stuff with the page, when it comes to me and Nathan, the stuff that I was doing before, It was just walls of text. And then Nathan comes along and he makes it better with art, and we're able to make it more digestible. And then that's art. I'm comfortable with saying with what we do on the page, that is considered art, literally, because Nathan makes the fucking art.
So
But
you did. I wasn't familiar with you guys until I became familiar with this whole gun subculture on the internet, which was very recent. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing this Grand Thumb guy. I'm seeing the T-Rex arms. I'm seeing your page, the group chat people that I interact with. I had no idea who the heck any of these people were. So before Nathan was drawing stuff, did you do similar things, just text based?
yeah, so much like yourself, I had no fucking idea who Garantham and T-Rex arms were. I was just
Yeah.
doing this shit. I was posting walls
Oh,
of
cool.
text guides because I was passionate about it. I was like,
Okay.
I think there's a lack of information, and I have this information, or I know people that have this information, so I want to make it for people. But the way that I would do it, I would just go into Instagram stories and make walls of text. And I did this for years. And then one day, I started getting a lot of followers, and I was like, wow, this is great. I got like 2 or 3,000, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. It was years ago. And people are messaging me like, Lucas sent me to you. Lucas sent me to you. I'm like, who the fuck is Lucas? And,
Yeah.
and lo and behold, Lucas Bakken posted not a story, like an actual post, like referring people to me. And I'd never
That's
followed him, never
cool.
heard of this guy. And I'm like, holy shit, this is really cool. And at first I was like, maybe he's just like some dude who makes YouTube videos and he's just doing chill stuff or whatever. But I started to like look into him, I'm like, oh no, this guy's like really nice. Kind of like
He
you,
seems like
where
a
I'm like,
nice dude, right? He's like
yeah,
a genuine nice dude.
yeah. And I'm like, these people are just really nice people. And then fast
Yeah.
forward, Nathan comes on the page. We talk about that very often, how he got involved, and lo and behold, here we are. But much like you, I was just in this, and I was passionate about it, and I liked it. And then all these folks who I now love talking to and interacting with started talking to me, and I'm like, wow, you're just nice people. And I think that's one of the better things that I enjoy. As much shitty companies and shitty people as there are in this industry, there are a lot of genuine, really nice people as well.
There
And
are, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good people, and I'm looking forward to actually being able to, like, go have a beer or a burger with a lot of them. I'm looking forward to Shot, and all
Oh,
of
are you
that.
gonna
And
go to
finally-
Shot?
It's very highly likely. I'm not going to say exactly how. I've got a couple of friends and possibly a company that I used to
Okay.
work with that are
Oh,
sending me
Mira?
down. Are you going to be there?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yes.
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 I think I might. I was just
well, we're going to
speaking-
go do some fucking burgers then, I guess.
Yeah, if I think
Yeah.
I might go, and if I do, I'll bring my lady with me. We like to go. It's very, very nice restaurant there. We like, and we like to try to go to a show if we can. It's very fun.
That
And
sounds
I
lovely.
don't like the show itself. The Shot show it's nice to meet the people you want to meet,
Yes.
but other than that, it can be quite taxing.
That is
Yeah.
almost verbatim what everyone, CEOs
Every
that we
single
talk
person
to,
has said.
people that just work for company, they all say the same thing. You go once and you're like, oh, this is cool. And then you go back just to see old friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been there a few times, and then COVID hit, so we didn't go. And if it doesn't get canceled, which we still don't know, if
Yeah,
it
a lot of
doesn't,
people are
if it does,
backing out.
yeah, a lot of companies aren't going. Actually, I will say this: a lot of companies are not setting up booths, but they are sending people.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but dude, seriously, if I'm there, yeah, we'll grab some drinks and food or whatever. Yeah. You guys, so have either of you have you guys shot silencers before?
Never.
I have, yes.
I didn't get to in the military, and they're completely prohibited here. I never got a chance in the States, and none of my friends have owned cans until recently, and now everyone owns cans. I feel like there was just kind of a flip moment.
You know that 20% of silencer owners own 80% of the silencers?
That makes sense, actually. That
There-
genuinely makes a lot of
Well,
sense.
it's similar to like the gun ownership. There's something like I don't know the statistic, but it's something similar to that, where like X% of gun owners own like X% of the guns, and it's something very similar to that. And I'm like,
It's gotta be right.
yeah, I'm like, God damn it, I love this country.
I love it. Welcome everyone to the Thunderdome. No, I like armament. No, what silencer, Mitch, did you shoot before?
It was, I believe, Knight's Armament, and it was on what was the weapon that they issued the military? Oh, what was it? I don't recall. It was years ago though.
Was it a 5.56 or a 7.62?
It was 7.62.
Oh, okay. Like an SR-25?
Yes, exactly that.
Cool.
We were in Afghanistan because I was never part of a unit that was cool enough to have fucking suppressors. Now though, we do have suppressors on line units, silencers. But we had deployed with an ODA team and they had them, and they took us out and we got to shoot them. They put one on a SCAR as well. They don't like they didn't like the SCAR, and I didn't like the SCAR either after shooting it then. But yeah, that was my experience shooting any type of silenced weapon.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you shot. That's cool.
You probably do, yeah.
I'm excited to test the Knight's Armament silencer that Lucas sent me. I still can't believe he sent me his personal silencer. What a nice guy.
That's actually really cool. That's
what's
cool.
really crazy? And big shout out to these folks. I'm not going to give their names, but a couple Pew Science members sent their own personal Form 4 silencers to me to test.
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
their personal babies.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy, but that just shows how many. It shows a couple things. It shows that there is a lack of credible information, and it shows that there are a lot of people that want it, and that you're able you're able to provide that for folks. And I mean, if I had a silencer and I was questioning it, well, I wouldn't, because I would just go to you and be like, hey, what's the good ones? What's not the good ones? But
same. It's cool that we're actually talking, because I fully intend on abusing this plug and being like, hey, I know you can.
But no, it's something that I always tell people. I never, ever, 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 ever tell people what to buy, to the point where I actually tell people when I do my podcast, I make it a point to say, I don't care what you buy. Don't buy anything. Throw all the silencers in the trash. Like, I say that because I want to make sure people understand, like, not only do I not get kickbacks if you buy a silencer, like, I don't want to be held responsible if you buy something you don't like, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, now, do I fully endorse the data that I produce and fully believe in it? Absolutely, or I wouldn't be publishing it. I mean, but it stops there. Like, I'll help people with recommendations, especially members that write me. They'll like write me emails and they'll ask me, well, I have this gun and I have this silencer already, but I'm looking at this and this. What do you think? I will go into full dialogues with them and, speak with them about their choices, kind of the pluses and minuses and things like that intelligently. But I never, ever say, oh yeah, buy this one. It's great. Like, I refuse.
I really like that, because I really like it because I do it with gas masks, and I work for a company that sells gas masks, and I'm still cool. I'm like, hey, Mir makes a great mask, but Mir's not the end all be all. If you have an Avon mask, our direct competitors, it's a great fucking mask. Don't let anybody tell you it's not a great mask. If you have this other company, that great fucking mask. Don't let anybody tell you it's not a great fucking mask. Like, there's pros and cons to each. I'll let you know pros and cons, but being like we talked about earlier, and what you really seem to have a grasp on, and I really appreciate that, is that you have this understanding that once you lose that credibility and being genuine, you will never get that shit back. You will never get that trust back. And you don't want to violate that. I don't want to violate that. And there's a lot of people that come into this industry and their only intent is to violate that. It's
all or nothing, really, because when you think about it, it's interesting how you said it, but when I think about it like this, if you show a lack of integrity, it's not like you just started it. That means you never had it. Mm-hmm. you can't just get integrity one day. It's not like oh yeah, I got some integrity. Like, it's pretty good. It's like you either have it or you don't have it. And if you compromise it, you have done so. Now, can people make mistakes and recover? Probably. but I don't know what that looks like integrity wise.
There's and there's a fine line too. There's a difference between making a mistake and being genuine about making a mistake, and showing a product that you haven't either researched or and you have heard that there's problems with, and you said, fuck it, the money's too good anyway. There's a difference between that.
Oh, that's
There's a
interesting.
lot of that.
Yeah, there's a very big difference. If somebody,
Yeah.
for example, I'm going to go back years for myself. Years ago, 3-4 years ago, AR500 reached out to me, and at the time, I didn't know fuck all about body armor. Didn't know shit. They're like, hey, we can work something out to where you know, promote our plates, and we'll work something out, hinting at like money, we'll pay you. And I'm like, oh, well, body armor, everybody seems to like them. And my initial instinct was, yeah, I should do that. And before I did, though, I reached out to other people who knew what the fuck they were talking about. And they were like, fucking avoid that shit. And they started to tell me why. So I started to look into plates and body armor. I'm like, oh yeah, no, fuck that. I'm not going to talk about steel armor. And I was this close to making an honest
Oh my
mistake,
goodness.
but thank fucking God I actually talk and communicate and have a lot of great people around me to that know shit that I don't. And I that was one of the humbling moments where I'm like, I probably shouldn't even consider things that I don't know anything about, much like suppressor or silencers, because I don't own silencers. I don't know fuck all about silencers, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. So even if they reach out, I was like, hey, we want to sponsor the podcast, I'd be like, well, you would have to not only send us a silencer, you would have to give me time to like run the shit out of it and talk with people who know what the fuck they're talking about before I can comfortably be like, yeah, I'll recommend your silencer. Yeah, I'll talk about your company, because I don't know.
It's
fuck
hard,
all.
you're touching on influencer marketing, which is I learned about this recently. Influencer marketing is the whole thing, not just for guns, but it's just a method now.
Yeah.
People say, a lot of people listen to this person, let's give them a product and they'll talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah. And that kind of comes into what we were talking about in the recording yesterday, but these are going to be spaced out. It's like the amount of money that gets passed around behind the scenes, and the fact that like YouTube,
I wish I saw that money.
Yeah, so do we. We probably could if we would stop being so.
I think we could all do it if we sold our soul.
Yeah, if we stop being stingy, but yeah,
we're very stingy.
Yeah.
But no, stingy is the wrong word. But what were we talking about yesterday? There's a lot of money that's passed around behind the scenes. But at the same time, a lot of it's kind of self-fulfilling because the gun industry doesn't have a lot of avenues of advertising.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of people like Tim Kennedy and, normie marketers like MMA fighters, stuff like that being pulled in as influencers and shilling armor to people who don't know any better. Or because like YouTube won't let you advertise stuff. Facebook won't let you advertise stuff. A lot of the normal avenues of marketing are closed off to these companies.
That's true. I mean, they need that. They need that mechanism.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a very double-edged sword because you have these people that have influence, be it genuine or not, because people just buy a lot of fucking followers to look like they do to companies to get free shit. But that's a whole other conversation that pisses me off. But
yeah, that's true.
You have these companies that send people shit and maybe pay them. I mean, I know that they pay them. I see how much people get paid to talk about things, and it creates this thing where either you're not big enough to be honest and be like, hey, like, I had these problems with it, but it was also good to like give an honest review on something. You're not big enough to do that yet, or you are big enough and you have to make a choice then. Like I think Grand Thumb has to make a choice, and he made that choice, and I think he made the right choice to where, yeah, I'm going to get paid a lot of fucking money to do this, but I'm not going to be disingenuous with you. If there's a problem with something and I'm paid to talk about it, one, I'm going to tell you I was paid to talk about it. Two, I'm going to let you know what the fucking problems are. Just because I got paid doesn't mean that I'm going to have a biased opinion. The problem is pages that don't have, one, that moral ground, and two, the size of that audience to be able to say, yeah, fuck you, I'm not going to just say nice shit about it. You can send it to me and get that publicity, sure, but I'm going to speak the truth, and if it sucks, it sucks. The problem is you have these people who are just going to say whatever the company wants to hear, so they send them more shit. Because when you have a sponsor or you have somebody that sends you shit, it makes you look more legitimate to other companies. So other companies are like, oh, he says all these good things about so and so, whatever company. They sponsor him, they trust him, so we're going to do the same thing.
It's a snowball.
Exactly. And once you go down that path, like you said, once you violate that integrity, it's game over. And people notice. The people that don't notice are people that are new to the industry or are kind of dabbling their feet, or like, yeah, I guess, I guess I need a gun. It's not the people that are in the industry that are like, fucking all I think about is guns and I love guns, because they can tell, we can see, we know
all the autismos that are
Yeah.
like, like I'm literally on the spectrum, like obviously. And so I understand, like most of us we're sick for it, dude. Like something's wrong with us. It's fine.
Yeah, but it's fucking great, isn't it?
It's great.
fucking great.
I
It's
wouldn't trade it for the
fantastic.
world.
It's
I mean,
superpower.
this is what I do.
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop. So it's like, but there's innocent people that become casualties of war, and we can't have it.
Yep.
We have to protect them at all costs.
And that's why I bring up if you would do body armor in the future, because that is, there's definitely casualties when it comes to silencers. There is more when it comes to body armor, because you don't have to wait 10 fucking months. It is just in your face.
It's prolific, huh? Everyone has it now, yeah? Except for me.
Except for you.
You're busy doing other shit, but
yeah.
Maybe, you said if you're big enough, you'll do it. And I don't know how big that is. If you want to put a number on it and make it official, and then I'll peer pressure a bunch of people to follow you and make it official.
Oh, well, gosh, it wouldn't be big as in a following. It would be more revenue size so that I could quit my day job. But, it's funny. Gosh, well, I can tell you, I mean, this is just me. This is just stream of consciousness thinking out loud. But what I would have to do was I would test to NIJ standards, obviously.
Right.
I mean, there's already a standard, right? I would do that. I would probably go sit on the committees that develop the standards. I would, and I would be directly competing with test laboratories that I compete with in my day job for other stuff. And it would be a whole thing.
You would piss people off.
And it would be very insane. So in order for me to do that, I would have to take Pew Science to the next level, which I'm in like what am I in? I'm almost 2 years in, which would be cool. I'm not ready to do that like professionally. I think I'd be given like I would love to take it full time. It's not there yet.
Well, it's also only you, and the amount of time that goes into just doing the silencers, I can only imagine. And then adding a whole nother dimension to that, I imagine it would be very time consuming. And one of the things that I struggle with is trusting other people to do the job as well as I know I can do it. And
well, I'd have to hire. Well, see, that's the thing. I need to get enough revenue so I could hire another engineer.
And you would have to trust them. And
well, I have to train them.
Hmm.
And then I'd have to I have to trust them, then I have to train them, and then I have to determine if I could trust my training. No, just kidding. I've already trained people before, but not for this job. But yeah, no, I would essentially need a technician, another engineer, maybe an admin person. And then if I'm doing all that with them, I need a marketing guy. And then I need a customer support guy. And then I need another guy. And by the time, before you know it, I'd be running a T-Rex arms type operation. It's where the guy has his whole damn family working for him, I think. Bless his heart.
Bless his fucking heart.
His sisters don't. Well, we confirmed that. We asked him. Sisters don't.
And one of the brothers.
One of the brothers don't. He's a famous
I'm only
composer.
Speculating because they have the similar last names. I know nothing about their organization. Okay.
They're a part of you. They send you shit and you don't even know. Boo.
Well, I try not to meddle.
Yeah.
I don't like to meddle in people's personal affairs. I mean, dude, wouldn't it be cool to just build a compound and do Pew Science,
The industry needs it. I mean, you're already filling a gap. There's a lot of other holes that need to be filled. And
you know what I did? And it makes me cringe. But I did it. Not yesterday. I did it either it could have been Sunday or Monday. I don't remember. Some of my members asked, they said, Jay, we want to contribute more. How can we contribute more? And I was like, I don't know, man, just spread the word.
Yeah.
You're already giving your monthly fee. That's awesome. You're doing more than 99% of people. Like that's thank you. They're like, no. What if you put a donation function? And I was like, I don't know. And I hesitated but I did it. I put it on the website. I was like, you can click and you can like Wikipedia. You can donate to Wikipedia. I was like, they can donate to Pew Science, whatever. So I did it. I put it on there. No one clicks it, but someone might.
It's there.
And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I think I'm going to sell T-shirts eventually. I don't know. I'm going to try to raise more money. People really like free things.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of people who like to support it too. And those folks are really cool. So I just got to figure it out. It's one of those things. But
You're in a very similar spot to we are in the sense where, I mean, I feel like maybe no, maybe not. We struggled very, very much with the idea of making money off of information that we put out. We struggled very difficult.
That was like, we hemmed and hawed about that for so fucking
long because we're like, we definitely can, but should we? And it was Pageosity who convinced us to start a Patreon. And
that's been going super well. People are really cool. And
it's been going great, and it really does help. So I understand
it's doubled the amount of content that I can make.
Yeah,
genuinely,
it helps so much with. I mean, just our podcast equipment. How much money did we spend? Fucking $800.
About $1,000, I want to say.
800 to $1,000. It might not sound like it in our first episodes because we were still trying to figure out the shit with it, and maybe it still doesn't sound like it because we're just fucking stupid. But like, it really helps us actually able to put more time and effort into making these things. And much like yourself, where I can only imagine the investment that comes on your end. I mean, now you're to the point where fucking Lucas Bakken is sending you his suppressor to test on, but that initial investment of, that time investment as well. People don't talk about the time that goes into it. You deserve the information you're putting out is important. It's helping people. And
that's true. But you also need to know that if there was a company doing what I'm doing, each silencer test report that you read would be between $10,000 to $20,000 minimum.
Jeez,
minimum.
Fuck.
It would also be biased if another company was doing it.
No, but I'm saying like if you paid a test laboratory, like Pew Science is a test laboratory. What I'm telling you is that this is free. I have members that are contributing. It is free. They pay a fee. Even the companies, the companies that pay $99.95 a month to join as a corporate member, that's free. Because the information that you're getting, the cost delta between what you pay and what you receive is so high that what you're paying is effectively zero, even if it's $100.
Yeah,
the delta is not like it's an order of magnitude. It's many orders of magnitude different. And so it's almost like the membership is almost a barrier of entry to show if people are serious and they want the information. And it's almost a case study in human psychology to charge somebody, because I'm not making the money that it costs to do it, because per hour, what I could charge to do this for a company like my day job is more than these companies pay per year. Like there's no equivalent. So that's why it has to be scaled, and that's why I have to grow, so that by I'm essentially crowdfunding a research organization.
That's really cool.
I'm crowdfunding a think tank for silencers. And if you Google Pew Science, you know what used to show up? The Pew Research Center in DC. You know what shows up now? Me.
That's fucking incredible.
They're a liberal think tank, and now I beat them in SEO.
What you're doing too, like I said, I don't want to keep hitting the same nail on the head. I feel like we self-masturbate enough to where I don't want to keep doing it for us. But with you, what you're doing, I think you're seeing that success because you're filling that need, and it would be very different if a company was doing it. I mean, obviously you can be defined as your own company, but you are a unbiased, but like detached from all that.
Oh, you mean like a silencer company, like they try to do right now?
Yeah, like if a silencer company tried to do what you were doing, maybe they have the money, maybe they have the means, but it would be biased. It would be incredibly biased.
Are you messing with me right now? Do you not know what's happening?
No, I don't know what the
Like,
fuck's happening.
oh, bro,
What?
there is okay. I'm not even going to say their name because you know what? I don't need that drama. I don't need that negativity in my life. But I will tell
But
you
so
right now,
curious.
there is a silencer company that is trying to do exactly, and they have been trying to do exactly what you're saying for years. And they told me to suck a dick when I talked with them. Basically, like when I met these guys, I bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, shot show. I walk up, hi, I'm Jay. I'm gonna do this. It's really cool. Like I don't know if you know me, but I like to do this. It's really I love silencers. And hi, like pleasure to meet you. I'm a really big fan. Like they looked at me and they're basically like, go fuck yourself, dude. I'm like, cool, man. Thank you. You're awesome. Like good chat. And then from then on, it was like, let's disparage what Jay is doing and we'll put out data that's bullshit. And then we're going to pretend like everything's fine and try to lie to consumers.
Oh,
Cool. So they kept doing that and I kept doing what I'm doing. And guess who won?
yeah.
So it's like, cool. I will never say anything bad about a product.
I will.
Cool.
Yes.
What I'm saying is I'm only going to give objective information, but what I will not do is roll over and be a little bitch. And if they think they can walk all over me because I'm in this space of, oh, Jay's an influencer and he would never. No, I'm an independent test laboratory engineering consultancy. I'm licensed in multiple states and this is a business and I'm doing good work. And frankly, I don't like when people try to disparage my stuff with things that are not factual. And so I'm going to continue to, and you know what's really sad about it? The same folks that disparage it, and they use these fake accounts so you can't tell that they work for companies. The same folks that disparage it, they send me emails privately trying to be nice to me. But then they go publicly and they try to attack.
See,
and they think I don't know it's the same person.
The problem is, and I think what you're experiencing, that is a lot of the gun or tactical industry. The reason, and it bothers me too, it's because when you're trying to be genuine and you're trying to do something and then you see somebody or something that you might have looked up to, it's like don't meet your heroes type deal. And you see somebody and you like what they're doing and you kind of want to help or maybe just appreciate or whatever it is. You look at them and you're like, wow, like that's not bad. And then they just start acting like fucking cockbags. And then you start to recognize and look at what they're doing and you're like, well, maybe I have a little bit of a bias because I had this poor experience with them, but also objectively they're fucking wrong. I don't know how to get back into this after we just cut out that little bit. So
that's okay.
Yeah, we're
what do they talk about? What do they hide from me?
Oh, that's fine. We got messages after the Isaac episode. They're like, man, the flow gets really cut off. When you guys cut out, and we're like, we're not going to compromise the trust we have between a guest when we start talking about shit. And they're like, yeah, we don't want that included because then that not only let's ignore the business aspect of one, they're never going to want to talk with us or be on the podcast again. Let's ignore that because that doesn't fucking matter. The important part is if we violate that trust with them as an individual, well, now they're not just going to talk to us as people, and I don't fucking want that. I don't want to.
Yeah, you got to be. It's all about just being a normal dude.
Yeah.
Just being a guy. Like, just be genuine and do good stuff for people, and it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just it because we were talking with Isaac and he was bringing up some stuff. We're not going to talk about it here, obviously. But when he said, hey, can you let's edit that part out. If we were to be like, no, this is really fucking juicy. This is going to get a lot of views. People are going to listen to this. One, we look like scumbags to the entire fucking world. Two, somebody that we legitimately like and talk to isn't ever going to want to talk to us again. And that's just not, I don't know. It's not right. It pisses me off.
Yeah, you don't want to set a precedent. I mean, man, I wish that it would be cool to shoot silencers with you guys.
I would love that. I would genuinely love that.
I would love that. I
So
can come and
fucking
learn.
much.
And then if anybody actually asks me, I can comfortably be like, hey, I'm a fucking retard, but you want to know who's not a fucking retard? Jay. Jay isn't a fucking retard.
I'm a firm believer. I said this. I don't know if JFK was the first person to say it. He probably wasn't. But I know he famously said that a rising tide raises all ships. I know he said that. And I say that a lot because it's really true. And I do think that the best way to improve the silencer industry is through education. And I think that it's not only, and this is something that if people don't know, I just want to say this really quick. If people don't understand the full scope of Pew Science, it's more than just telling you what's quiet and what's loud. We are actually pushing the industry forward to the point where we have R&D clients that are going in directions, designing their silencers they would never think to have gone before the way I'm testing for them. They would never, the analysis that I give to my R&D clients, they would never have even thought to go in these directions. And the consumer, you guys are getting products that are better only because Pew Science exists now. And that is one of the principal missions. It's actual innovation funded by people. People listen to the podcast, they go to the website, they contribute, they fund the grassroots research, and they get better products long term. They're doing it for themselves. They're learning it, and they're pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. We're fucking bootstrapping the silencer industry.
I love that.
Yeah, I love too how it's we. I love how it's we. It's we are doing it together as a community, because I feel I feel very similar on a much smaller scale when it comes to guides and information. What we want to put out free, reliable, good information for folks, and we want to see other people put out good information, reliable. We want to see, like you said, a rising tide raises all ships, and it's very similar. We get raised up by other people, and in turn, maybe we're able to help out one or two people ourselves, and in turn, maybe you're able to help out 1-2 people yourselves, and you just keep doing that collectively. We were talking with
exponential, dude.
Yeah, we were talking about Grant Thumwith yesterday, where he was like, "Yeah, Travis Haley." Travis Haley was the one that essentially, I made a joke that he was my dad. He responded, and all of a sudden, I'm getting popular. And it's very similar. He's doing the same thing with administrative results. While we do build our own platforms, and we build our own communities, it all essentially stems from other people that have come before us and are actually willing to help out and put out good stuff. And I'm interested. Maybe it won't be you that does the body armor stuff, but maybe somebody sees what you're doing and is like,
exactly, hey, dude. Like, these people reach out. Oh my God, bro, that's such a good example. These two dudes, and it's gonna suck because if they hear this, they're gonna be like, "Why didn't you email us back?" These dudes emailed me several months ago. We went back and forth a couple times. They're like, "Oh my God, we love what you're doing. We want to do it for accuracy. We want to test silencer accuracy." And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you motherfuckers don't know what you're even getting into right now. It's gonna be so hard. But I didn't say that to him.
Well, do you think that people might have thought that about you when you were
absolutely? And so I didn't say that to him. I said, "Awesome, show me what you've done."
Yeah.
And they did a test matrix and they showed it to me. We talked about it. We talked about the different variables. I showed them where maybe they had good things. I showed them where they needed to improve. It hasn't progressed much, but that's just only one example. People are reaching out to me all the time, like, "Hey, I want to test flash. I want to test accuracy. How do you test? Can you help us with this?" And it's like all these people, they're telling one of their friends, that friend tells 2 people, those friends tell 3 people. It's spreading like wildfire. People are hungry. Dude, I have high school kids about to go into college messaging me about shock physics. That's a high level topic that you don't get into until graduate school. And their high school students be like, "Dude, I heard what you were talking about the speed and sound in different media and how the molecules can communicate when you go past the sound speed, and it creates a discontinuity, and there is a shock wave that propagates." And he was like, "That really resonated with me. I went on Wikipedia, I learned about it, went to NASA's website, and now I'm a mechanical engineer." I'm like,
holy shit.
Do it.
Yep.
Every day, dude. Every day. And that's just because I'm talking about guns, talking about silencers.
Yep. And it's things like that where maybe it won't be you, maybe it won't be us. Maybe there's going to be some other, fucking retards that come along who are less retarded than us and make much better illustrated guides.
A little less retarded.
Yeah, and
a little less.
Have a much better grasp on tactics that do it better than we do. And, they become the fucking million followers influencing all these people doing the good fight. And I mean, that's great. I'm here for it. And it sounds like with you, maybe you're not the one that does the body armor, but maybe somebody listening to this is like, you want to know what? I'm an engineer. I kind of have an idea on how to do this thing. I'm going to try doing this thing. And then they become the Pew Science body armor, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, maybe we absorb them. We partner up. We build a mutual lab.
Yeah.
Maybe they come work for me. Maybe I buy their body armor testing operation, and they become the body armor wing.
Maybe they
Pew
buy
Science in the
yours
compound.
and you work under
Maybe
them.
they buy Pew Science.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you become
I joked about building a skunk works.
A what?
I wanted to build a skunk works to develop the most advanced small weapon systems on the planet. And I was going to take all the lead engineers from all the firearms company and steal them away from the companies and put them all under one roof. And I was going to run it as a research director like DARPA.
You're a fucking madman.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but why not, right?
Yeah, why not?
I mean,
Why
when
not
you think about it, what's stopping us from doing that?
yourself?
Nothing's stopping you. All you need is money and time.
Yeah.
What is Elon Musk doing? He's fucking putting spaceships taking off from different cities in the United States, and he's going to put people in space for fun. This guy's insane. He's a genius. I love it.
Well, this has been a great episode. I'm glad that you came on. I'm glad we talked about shit. Please take the time. I mean, we've kind of already went over all this shit, where to find you, what you're doing, why you're doing it. But if you want to harp on that one more time, by all means, tell people where to find you, show yourself.
PewScience.com. You can go view everything on my website. You can find the podcast. You can find the Silencer Sound Standard, which is basically a series of Wikipedia articles I wrote on my website that describe to you silencer and gunshot sound and how I characterize it and test it for you. You can view the podcast there. There's links to subscribe. It's the J Situation Podcast. It is on all major podcast providers. Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. The J Situation is also my main Instagram account. You can reach me on social media, the same on Facebook, and Pew Science LLC on Instagram. It's all in the Pew Science ecosystem. You can find me if you're looking. And I'm sure there's some Facebook accounts for Pew Science too. But who goes on Facebook?
Yeah, very true.
Maybe you do.
I don't.
But yeah, PewScience.com. It's all there. And if you guys like, and one thing I want to say, everything's free. But if you are so inclined and you would be so kind, you can join with a membership. It is cheap. It costs you a cup of coffee per month, and you can fund the greatest effort of suppressed small arms research characterization known to man that's happening in real time right now during your life. And it is paying dividends. It's fucking real, dude.
Go check him out. See what he's doing. Help support the cause. And if you're somebody that wants to be the Pew Science of body armor, I don't recommend you come talk to us about it, because I'm not going to know what the fuck to tell you other than go ahead and do it. But you should do it, because people need to know not to go buy steel body armor, and need to know why in a more orchestrated way than me saying, do you care about your dick? Yes? Okay, well, don't buy steel armor.
Yes.
Spall is real.
Spall is very real.
With that, AWS, Advanced Warfighter Solutions, not whatever I said earlier. I don't remember what I said earlier. What did I say earlier? Advanced Warfighting?
Maybe systems.
Systems?
Yeah, you said systems.
Oh, yeah, definitely not Advanced Warfighting Systems. Advanced Warfighting Solutions. Go check them out. Use code ARTandWar10. Get yourself $10 off a belt. We don't get any kickback from that. They're just a great company that's supporting us after I've run their shit for literally years. And Applied Gear, they make concealed carry belts. Cobra Buckle.
Yes,
Nathan,
I really quite like mine.
Yeah, Nathan wears his all the time. Good stuff. Use code ARTandWar5 for them. We don't get kickback from that either. It's just ways for you to save a little bit of money. And with that, Jay, thanks for coming on. Nathan, closing words. We haven't done closing words with Nathan in a while.
Oh, fuck. Oh, geez. You put me on the spot like this.
Always.
Jesus. God, fuck.
These are good closing words.
Dad advice. All right. Oh, I did the washing dishes one last time. God damn it. Mitch, why you gotta fucking game me like this, bro?
Something.
You know what? Make sure you fold your laundry and put it away before you go to bed. I'm bad for that.
Oh, same.
Okay,
I'm so
bye.
fucking bad for that.